I'm Maryn.
And I'm Christie.
And you're listening to Hung, a podcast where we talk about true crime from the court of law to the court of public opinion.
Okay, yay!
The day has come, the day has come.
Right. Okay, so this is episode 5 of the Russ Faria case, and this is where we hear about what has happened since 2013 and what new information is out there that I would not know.
Right. Well, we'll start with what happened in 2013 at the end of this trial. We ended with our closing arguments in our last episode and jury instructions a little bit. Okay. So jury takes all of this information. They come back 4.5 hours later.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like sometimes when a jury deliberates for that short of a period of time, I think statistically it would be interesting to see, but I think typically they come back with a guilty verdict. Like, it's kind of a slam dunk feeling, right? But I'm surprised that it took that short amount of time, considering there was really no evidence that linked him to this case. It doesn't feel like it could be like, oh, slam dunk one way or the other, really. Now, their first vote was an even split 6-6. So they deliberated some more. Their next vote was 10-2. And then their last vote was obviously unanimous. For the charge of first-degree murder, they find Russ guilty.
Wow.
And, of course, then the armed criminal action also guilty. But that kind of follows.
4.5 hours. I mean, I guess it comes down to whether you believed the alibi witnesses or not.
Whether you believed the alibi witnesses, whether you believed the cell phone data or that the cell phone data was constructed, like it was planned to be that way. Like,
I don't know. There's no evidence to tie him to the crime at all in my opinion. Like, what is there? I don't know.
I don't know either. The only thing is DNA that's found in his own home.
Right.
So it could be connected, it could not be. So it's inconclusive and
I think
irrelevant.
the lack of DNA from any other source is probably a big reason that it's like, well, it can't be anyone else. There's only their DNA there. Mm-hmm. So it had to have been him.
Right. Which I can understand. I mean, there is that little bit of unidentified male DNA. Right. So that's something.
Yeah.
That's enough, and it's not just unidentified male DNA somewhere in the house. It's directly associated with that blood that was left on the light switch. So if it's connected to anything, you would think it would be to the murder, whereas the DNA they found of Russ was not in blood, just like his prints on the
patio door.
Right, which could have happened at any time. It's not like they were bloody handprints.
The other thing, though, is if the DNA in the blood on the light switch belongs to Russ, I still don't think that it's conclusive because Russ is constantly turning on and off that light switch. So his DNA you would expect to find there. The only thing that would make it conclusive is if it was someone else's DNA on that light switch, because it shouldn't be there.
Right. Who's going in and out of their closet. Right.
And
then there's the whole somebody else could have cleaned up, but they wouldn't really have a reason to. They could just leave it and go.
Right, unless they were really careful and trying to make sure there was no evidence that linked them.
Right.
It's just hard to imagine someone planning this so thoroughly to be able to have it so clean without knowing her movements or Russ's schedule, that she would be the only one there. Like, the amount of time that it would take, in theory, to clean up the scene that well and make sure your DNA is not there.
Right.
And all of that and leave. Like, who's going to be sticking around for that? Because you're more likely to get caught the longer you stay at the scene after the crime has been committed. So
totally.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the sentencing?
So he was sentenced to life without parole. Not surprised as far as the sentencing goes.
Sure.
For murder, right? Especially to how the degree of violence that was involved.
Yeah.
56 stab wounds.
Yeah.
And
He
is not in jail anymore.
Okay.
So he did spend...
escape, or he was... He's dead. What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh my...
He spent life.
That's one way. That's one way.
No. So he spent 3 years in jail before he was granted a second trial.
Wow. Okay.
There's lots of interviews with Schwartz, his defense lawyer, who has basically went on to say he had never felt so strongly that his client was innocent and really pushed for this second trial. And honestly, for appeals to even go through, not that common.
Right. What was the grounds for the appeal?
I think it was based on, like, they felt that the investigators had, like, some sort of malpractice or something along those lines. So in his second trial, obviously, because I just told you, he is no longer in jail.
Yeah.
So he was acquitted, or I believe the term is exonerated, because he had been found guilty and was now found not guilty. So
interesting. Okay.
He was exonerated.
Okay.
So what was different? They used a new judge from St. Louis. I think also Russ felt kind of burned by the jury, so they opted for a bench trial.
Oh.
So for those who are unfamiliar, a bench trial means that they had no jury. The evidence was presented to the judge, and the judge made the final call of guilty or not guilty.
I think it's interesting because a lot of other countries, that is how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically, I don't think it's just in front of one judge. I think it's a panel of judges, maybe 3 judges or something, and they confer, which I almost feel like might be a better system because they really know the law and understand it. And people can be influenced to believe someone's story, even if there really isn't the evidence there. So I'm not sure if our system of justice is the best version of it. But I think people can request a bench trial.
Yes,
right?
I believe so. It's interesting, you talking about other countries. My husband and I were watching this show. It was an anime, so it was set in Japan. And this character was a public defender. And he talked about how he always picks these cases of these people where it seems like it's going to be hard to prove that they were innocent. And he was successful with this one guy. Like, he came back not guilty. But then there was another trial. And I was like, wait, I thought you're not allowed to do that. So I Googled it, and in Japan you are.
Interesting. So there is not a double jeopardy.
Correct. You can appeal on both sides, right, for it. So, and then in the second time he was found guilty. So sometimes I also think, like, it doesn't seem quite fair that somebody, if they're cleared, that they're cleared forever, that there's not even some sort of, like, caveat of, like, if there's new evidence. I feel like new evidence would be a great reason to be like, oh, we've found something that could prove that they did it, and we just have to look at it and say, well, too bad, so sad.
Right. Or if they then confess to it because they know, hey, well, nothing can happen to me because I was already found not guilty. So I can say, yeah, I did it. And what's somebody going to do? They can't do anything.
Right. So I don't know. I understand the protection aspect of it to a certain extent, but I think sometimes it can protect people that shouldn't be protected.
One thing that it might encourage is for law enforcement to really have strong evidence before they pursue charges and go to trial, because even if someone is found not guilty, this affects their lives forever, right? They spend years in the public eye. Sometimes people still consider them guilty, even if they were proven innocent.
Yeah. Obviously, this is not the only difference that was made here. So they invited a lot of the same witnesses to come and testify again, including Detective Merkel. Is that what it is? Detective Merkel. He is one who testified about the blue star and how it reacted.
Right. And the broken camera.
Correct. So he again testified the same thing. So there was the dog that had left the paw print. There was this trail that was discovered with the blue star that they theorize was the dog had stepped in blood, was led out to the back door or something like that, and then this was cleaned up, and that they theorize that the person responsible for the murder was probably the one who let the dog out after all of this and cleaned it up. They had said there had been a camera malfunction, right, so they couldn't show photos that proved that the floor had reacted for blood. At some point before the second trial, Russ's defense attorney received a DVD in the mail. And this DVD had all 132 fully developed photographs.
Wow. What?
And I don't know if this is a violation on his part, because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to share discovery, right?
Yeah, right.
So this is this almost like gotcha moment for him in court, where he's like, you sure you want to testify that? Do you want to look at these photos? To which the prosecutor's immediate response to was, where did you get that?
Wow.
So this was proof that there was some sort of conspiracy, or that he at the very least lied.
Well, here's the thing. So this is what I can see. If you're saying the reaction was there, but the camera didn't pick it up, because that is possible, that the lighting, that it just can't capture the reaction, you would be much better off submitting the photos and presenting the data that says, yeah, it's very difficult to catch luminol on camera. They say you may only get 1 in 100 pictures that actually are able to show the reaction. If that's what it was, then explain that. Instead of saying, well, the reaction was there, but if we show these pictures, then they're going to think there was no reaction, when it's just that it couldn't capture the reaction. So we're just not going to give the pictures at all,
right?
Which I think that was a bad move.
They took then these tiles and these things and later tested them, and there was no evidence of blood on them. Anyway, so it's hard to say, did it really test positive or did it not? And this doesn't fit the story, and we want this to fit the story, right? It's hard to say. So it could be that. Another thing that hadn't been allowed into court was any evidence or theories about any other potential suspects.
Was Pam a suspect?
Well, she didn't come back to testify the second time around, but she was mentioned for sure.
Who mentioned her?
Well, the defense attorney.
Oh. But not like detectives, that he was questioning detectives that they talked about?
I'm not totally sure on that. But, so I'm not sure if this was, well, he had to have, yeah.
Because he was definitely, like, Pam was really, and there were some sketchy things that seemed kind of off, which I can understand why he was going that direction. But, yeah, it sounds like maybe more so. There was more brought out about that in this trial, or...
They had some stuff already at the time of the original trial. One was cell phone data. So first of all, in the original trial, we were already talking about how the defense attorney was kind of going off on Pam about being creepy and pushy. Well, turns out he might have been right about that. So Pam asked if Betsy wanted her to take her to chemo, and she told her not to worry about it. Remember that her mom's friend was visiting. She wanted to spend time with her. They were going to go together. Pam claims, well, I didn't see the text or didn't read it beforehand, but she responded to the text message and said, bummer. So she was aware, and then she still went over and kind of inserted herself, right? And then... Now, I'm not 100% sure, because there was like the phone call, right? When she was on her way home.
Right.
But maybe also a text. Because of these phone calls that she made, evidence basically showed that she was still at the home up to 30 minutes after when she said she had left. Now, again, I guess she could have still been in the area, but it's weird.
So is it the 7:27 phone call that they're talking about, or is there one that's later?
It was that phone call, the one at 7:20.
Because she did say that she stayed at the house for 15 to 20 minutes, which if she was there at 7:05, then she would be leaving. If it's 15 minutes later, she's leaving at 7:20, or if it's 20 minutes later, she's leaving at 7:25. And so she still would be in the area based on that sequence of events.
Right.
When she's calling 2 minutes or 5 minutes later, she would still be in the area. So that's not inconsistent with her statement.
Sure. Besides the fact that her original statements were inconsistent with each other.
Right.
But I don't know if they also are meaning to say that there were additional pings that were showing that she was in the area even longer than that. That she was still in that area up to 30 minutes after when she said she'd left the house, which is what I believe is what it's saying. And then the last evidence that was known at the time of the first trial, but was not allowed to be talked about in court. They actually talked about it, but the judge made the jury leave while they, not interviewed, but...
Like the voir dire, they talked to a witness and then decided not to have them actually testify?
Well, it was to Pam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they continued to ask her questions, but not in the presence of the jury. The questions surrounded an interesting event. 4 days before Betsy's murder, Betsy changed the beneficiary of her life insurance from Russ to Pam.
What? How does that not come up in trial?
Right. I know.
And all policies, though? Or just one policy?
Just one. For $150,000. And the defense attorneys had the same reaction. I think during this questioning of Pam, the defense lawyer was literally so frustrated by this that he said to the judge, quote, "I don't know if I should strip naked, tear my hair out, or just ram my head into the bench to get your attention." And that was on the record, but not in front of the jury.
Yeah.
So basically, like, hello, there's all of this evidence here. For some reason, the judge decided it couldn't be allowed in.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That
right.
You aren't allowed to see other information about things that were happening in that time frame.
At the very least, it would show that, hey, there's some weird stuff surrounding other people too, but maybe that law enforcement still kind of tunnel visioned onto Russ and ignored these other circumstances.
Yeah, well, and because the defense attorney did ask about, well, did you test Pam's clothes?
Right.
And I think there was an objection and they never really were allowed to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it also brings to mind, and I don't know if this is something that you're going to talk about, there was something that they said about Betsy having been upset recently because a friend, that she had been down for a couple days around that Christmas period because a friend had told her, like, you need to prepare yourself for death and things like that, that she was feeling sad and down as a result of that conversation. And I wondered at the time if that was Pam who said it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but it would make sense.
Yeah, does seem more likely based on this additional information.
Mm-hmm. So the jury never heard that Pam was a beneficiary of one of her life insurance plans. But no fear, Pam had an explanation for all of this. So Russ was a bad husband. Betsy didn't trust him. So she asked Pam to be the beneficiary so that she would take the money and keep it for her daughters. She didn't think that Russ would give the money to their daughters. They're not biologically his children.
Right.
So, there's that thought.
Well, and there is the idea that Russ was withholding settlement money from Leah, and so Betsy could be concerned that Russ might not give any money to her girls or support them afterwards. But there is a way to do a trustee and trust type situation where she could make Pam officially, like, you're the trustee for these beneficiaries. And so just assigning Pam does not ensure that Pam has any responsibility to give that money to anybody else.
Right. Well, in the end, she's the one who got the money. What did she do with that money? She put it in a trust for Betsy's daughters.
Oh.
So that checks out.
Okay.
She said, hey, I know it looks weird, but this is why. And she was afraid of Russ anyway. So she was afraid of him. She didn't think he was going to give the money to who it should go to or to her daughters. So she put me, and guess what? She was right. She was right to be afraid of him. So it seems like she was following through with that promise. But not only that, she made it very clear to investigators in her interviews that she didn't need the money. In fact, in an interview with the police, she said, quote, "And if I really, hate to say it, wanted money, my mom's worth $500,000 that I get when she dies. My mom has dementia and doesn't half the time know who we are. I know this sounds morbid and stuff like that, but if I really wanted money, there was an easier way than trying to combat somebody that's physically stronger than me. I'm just saying." So,
right. It's like, oh, well, my mom would be an easier victim.
Right, and I would get more money from her anyway. Right. $500,000 versus $150,000. If I really wanted money and I was going to kill somebody for it, it would be my mom.
Right.
Well, that's all fine, but it turns out maybe she did need the money after all. Because a couple days after Russ was found guilty for the murder of Betsy Faria, those trusts that were put in the name of Betsy's daughters were drained.
Whoa.
No money in those accounts anymore. Leah and Mariah actually sued Pam to recover that money, and it was like a civil bench trial.
Right.
During the course of this trial, Pam's story changes a lot.
Wow.
So during the investigation, right, like we've said, the story was, well, she gave it to me so I could give it to her daughter. She asked me to do this. During a deposition for the trial for the life insurance money, right? She says, well, actually, Betsy wanted her to keep it. She said, if Betsy thought she didn't have anything else in the world, she would want me to have whatever she had. Well, that's not very clear to me, but...
Well, I mean, she's right, though. And being an insurance person, she knows that if it's just her name on the paperwork, there is no legal way to force her to give that money to the girls because Betsy identified her as a beneficiary. So she is not forced to give that money to Leah and Mariah.
Right.
So what was the outcome of the bench trial?
Well, during the trial, the attorney for Leah and Mariah presents her with video of her interview saying Betsy gave me the money to give to her daughters. And he's like, kind of confronts her about it. She's pretty spicy with him. Like he's like, did you not say that this was the reason that he became the beneficiary? She literally says, whoa, 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 like waving her arms around, like, I don't have to prove that or talk to that or whatever. She says that she would tell people different things about it. And when asked whom she lied to about it, she said, anybody who would bug me and bug me and bug me and bug me. So basically, like, get off my back. I'll give you a story.
But you can't lie under oath. You know,
right.
I mean, you can't say, well, you know, I said one thing here, but I was telling a lie.
Right.
I mean, what? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, what ended up happening in the end is basically exactly what you said. For those same reasons, the judge said, well, she doesn't have to turn the money over. Betsy worked in life insurance. If she really wanted that money to go to her daughters, she would have made it so it would go to her daughters, not to Pam.
Right.
So
it does make you wonder, did she know that Pam was listed as the beneficiary? Maybe she was changing the life insurance policy and the beneficiaries to be her daughters, and Pam offered to do it for her, put her own name in there.
Right.
And she just had Betsy sign it, and maybe Betsy didn't realize that it was Pam's name as the beneficiary.
Yeah, that's totally possible. Well, to this day, her daughters have not seen a dime of that money. So she never followed through with that. It's just weird, though, like, she said something, they asked, well, why did you take the money out of that trust? And she said something like, well, they said some things that weren't very kind about me. And so I took it out. Wow. I'm not going to give it to them. But it's weird to like, I think there's some insinuation that she was maybe advised, hey, you might want to put that money in a trust for her kids.
Right. If you're going to say that, then you should, yeah.
And as soon as it doesn't matter anymore, it's gone.
Right. Yeah, I mean, she did come across as pretty spicy on the stand in the first trial as well. And it was a bit of, well, I meant this. No, I meant that.
I'm still remembering would it refresh your memory to hear the interview? No.
No, because I tell different stories at different times. And so... Yeah.
Well, speaking of different stories, her story changes yet again as Russ's second trial starts to approach. Now she says, yes, Betsy for sure wanted that money to go to me. And that's because we were really, really close. So close, in fact, we were lovers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was it her sperm?
Well, the weird thing is she's claiming, okay, yes, we were lovers, but she doesn't fully commit to this because she's like, this is what she says. She says, we spent a whole lot of time together, and I replaced what a husband would be. It's honestly a relationship with two women who aren't attracted to women. I'm attracted to men, love everything about them. Listen to her. She literally says it like that. I'm attracted to men, love everything about them. But she's the same way. It's not like she was a lesbian or anything. It's just, it was such an evolution of emotional trauma for her. So it's this weird, she's like,
well, there may be an emotional affair, but not really a physical affair.
Right. But it's like she's like, hey, this'll make more sense if we were lovers, but I'm not a lesbian though. Okay.
And neither was Betsy.
Yeah. And I love men. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that is bizarre. It does make me think, there are some stalker qualities about some of the stories that she's telling and maybe some of the behaviors, which I guess the defense attorney might have picked up on those things, but he just wasn't allowed to really show them fully in the first trial. So yeah,
Right.
that like changing stories, and maybe this idea of her saying she didn't even go inside and then realizing, oh, I have to change that story. I need to say I did go inside. And then why are you calling her? Because I wanted to see if she was still mad at me because I didn't stay. And then, well, I was calling her to tell her I was home. Well, I mean, no, I wasn't home. I meant I'm home as in I'm home free. I'm out of the neighborhood. And
because everybody says that. I'm
right.
home free.
Yeah, it does seem like someone who's trying to think on the fly, and the story has to keep evolving as you realize, oh yeah, that's a very Casey Anthony, that's a very Casey Terry type of trait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like changing it enough, but it can't be like wildly different in some ways. It's like,
right.
Like, oh no, home free. That's what I meant. Like, I've been telling you the same story this whole time, even though you haven't, right? You have been changing it.
Right. I didn't say I didn't go inside. I just said I dropped her off. I didn't know you were asking if I went inside or didn't go inside. And then I realized, oh, you were asking if I ever went in the house. Oh, yeah, I did. Because what if there is some DNA in there?
Right.
Maybe I should be there, and maybe there's reason. And it was like 4 years earlier or something that Pam was in an accident and became disabled. And all of a sudden she has all this time. And I wonder, like, is that something where you end up fixating on a person in some way because you don't have social outlets anymore?
Right.
Or is she engaging in fraud by faking a disability that she doesn't really have? Maybe she's embellishing and adding on and somehow getting away with getting paid for disability for, I mean, this is all just conjecture on my part. I'm just freestyling here. Give me some music. Give me some beats. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But she wasn't confident enough in her stories to submit to a polygraph test, though she said she would be. They scheduled her to come in for a polygraph test early on in the investigation. I think they were just covering some bases. She had that scheduled, but the day of, doctor's note. Doctor's note says she can't take a polygraph test because of medical reasons.
Oh,
because
she
of her
has
accident.
anxiety. Therefore, her test wouldn't be consistent.
It was like she was prone to seizures, something like that. But she had communicated to her doctor and said, hey, I need you to write this. And he did. So she never had to give a polygraph. Oh, speaking of, so I kind of asked you. So my understanding is that Russ was submitted to a polygraph and he failed the polygraph. Oh my gosh, I really have to pee. I'm not going to make it. Okay. But polygraph tests are not super conclusive anyway. So even if Pam had submitted to a polygraph test, I don't know that it would have done much good.
Right.
But it does say something that she didn't want to take one.
Right. That she found an excuse to get out of it, and that she's changing her story constantly. So those things together look really bad for her. I didn't think polygraphs were admissible in court.
Maybe that's why they didn't talk about it in court. Obviously, there's a reason why they're not admissible in court, because you can have false negatives and false positives, and there's so much that goes into it. Now, on the contrary, Russ very willingly submitted to a polygraph. He's like, yeah, of course, I'll take one. Like, because I'm innocent, right?
Right. Or I think I'm a really good role player.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be able to fool the machine.
So some other kind of points against Pam. Now, there were other people that talked about how Betsy and Russ's relationship was maybe not the best relationship. They had their issues. They argued. They maybe swore at each other. But Pam was the only one who kind of went into this great detail of, yeah, man, Betsy would just tell me all the time how afraid she was of Russ. He would play this game where he'd put a pillow over her face and pretend to kill her and talk about how he was going to kill her, so she was really afraid of him. Everybody else is like, well, they argued. And this is also through a lens of, if they believe he's guilty, they're going to put more meaning to they're arguing, right?
Right. And looking back, they're going to see things a little bit differently as a result of that. Yeah.
Right. There was never anybody else that made those similar claims, but Pam, during the investigation, she kept bringing up with investigators, you really need to look at Betsy's laptop. There's some letter or document on there that she was telling me that she wrote for me, and I never got to see it. We tried to print it together one time, it didn't work, but I know she told me it's on there. So, okay, they go to the laptop. There is a document on there. This document was written by Betsy, and it detailed Betsy's fear of being killed by her husband. So, goldmine right there. Great.
Yeah. Do they have the dates of when it was written and edited or last accessed or...
Well, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of weird things about it. So she had said something along the lines of she wrote it when we were playing tennis or told me about it when we were playing tennis together. It did show that on this same date it had been connected to the Wi-Fi network that was consistent with the tennis club. But this document was different than any other document on her laptop. It was different because every other document on her laptop had either a creator's name attached to it or the field for creator was just empty. This one specifically had the word unknown in the creator field. So that could indicate to an investigator that either this was abnormal, it came from a different source, or someone, it seems like if there wasn't an author, it was just blank. So somebody may have deleted, the author wrote in unknown thinking, okay, that's how it goes, right?
Right. So is the idea, though, that she and Betsy were talking about it at the tennis club and Pam says, maybe you should write this down? And so
it's not
Betsy does it from the tennis club after they're talking? I mean, why would she be writing it at the tennis club?
Right. And I don't know if she told her about it when they're at the tennis club, but she's very strong claims that she never actually saw it. She just was told, Betsy told her about it, you should look for that. The other thing, really big red flag about this document was it was written using Word 97, which was a software program that did not exist on Betsy's laptop. So she'd had a more updated version of Word. She didn't have Word 97. So the theory was that probably through a flash drive or some sort is that Pam wrote this letter
and then transferred it onto the laptop.
And was so insistent about, you really need to look at her laptop. There's something on there. And there was. But it's not possible that it was written on her laptop, at the very least.
Creepy Pam.
Right.
Creepy Pam is getting creepier.
Creepier and creepier.
Mr. Defense Attorney, my apologies. I was behind you for some of it, but some of it I thought was...
Well, he knew more than he could bring up in court, right?
Right.
And I have to say, this was a very hard test for me. When we got to Pam's testimony, I was like, my face, I can't, just so hyper aware of myself and don't
you have to
smile,
be careful what you say because I don't know all this stuff about Pam.
Well, and especially does he think Pam did it? I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
You're like, yes, actually he does.
Right?
I mean, it did sound like he did think she did it, but I was like, wow, that's wild. Based on what? Why is he apparently based on a lot of stuff that he wasn't allowed to say. I mean, maybe that gives me a little perspective on defense attorneys and why maybe they throw out things that I'm thinking, like I said, about the issues for Leah. Either you can say it or you can't say it. Why is it that you're trying to walk the edge there, But it also felt like, well, is that another suspect? Are you trying to indicate someone else? If you think it's Pam or you think the most likely suspect after Russ is Pam, stick with Pam. Don't be throwing stuff on other people that muddies the water. Everybody's a suspect.
Yes.
Say this is a suspect that law enforcement failed to investigate. And there's so much that's suspicious about her story, about all of these other things. And the fact that Russ is sitting here on trial right now is unconscionable. Don't go to Devin. Don't go to Leah. Don't.
Right. And then further evidence that somebody was on her computer that probably wasn't her during that time frame. They also had browser cookies that showed a search for Betsy's signature block. So that kind of suggested that whoever created the document was also looking up maybe how to replicate Betsy's signature. So I never had thought, like, this whole time that I've known about this story, I thought, oh, she somehow convinced her to put her as the beneficiary, right? Well, now I'm thinking, did she even know?
Right. Did she just use her pre-made signature and attach it to that document?
Right.
That is weird. But the signature wasn't on the document about Russ being the killer, so it wasn't like she looked for the signature to put on that document?
I'm not sure. And
so
that
she transferred the signature to the flash drive. The flash
Right.
drive that she put the document off the flash drive and put the signature on the flash drive.
Right. Possibly. Now, it's possible that Betsy was aware and did do it intentionally. I don't know.
Why would Betsy need to search for where she stores her signature if she's the one trying to find it for Pam?
Sure. Well, and that might have been like a backup plan, but maybe she actually did. The only reason she would have done this is if all this stuff about her being afraid of Russ was true, then that would be the only reason that she would do that, right? So it seems to me that probably she didn't actually change her.
So I know that there's history nowadays on documents that show date and time they were created, date they were last accessed, things like that. That makes me wonder if they can show when that life insurance document was created, or if they can show when that Russ is going to kill me document was created, or when it was placed on the computer or anything like that. Nothing about anything that they found that kind of showed when that got there or when it was created.
Not that I'm aware of, but it seems like the dates coincide with when she was at the tennis court, as far as maybe when it was created, because I believe it would have a date when it was created. More maybe will come out about that later, but what I do know is that they basically found enough that was weird about it to be like, well, in that Word 97 thing is like, this was created with software that doesn't exist on this computer, so it couldn't have been created on that computer.
Of course, if they say it was created at the tennis club, are they saying the laptop was connected to the Wi-Fi at the tennis club?
Yes.
Okay. So that maybe the file transfer happened way back when, not the day of the death.
Correct.
Not that that was part of the plan and she went and got the laptop and she put that document on there after she killed Betsy, but that she had preloaded it on there somewhere.
Yes.
So that it could be found later. I mean, if that's not first degree murder, right? And I mean, that's a lot of pre-planning if that's really the case, right? I mean, of course, all of these, if it hasn't gone to trial, this is just, yes.
Right.
This is
for sure.
Alleged and very, very suspicious.
Yes, for sure. So, yes, they're saying that it was put on her computer at the tennis club, her laptop.
Okay.
While they were together playing tennis.
Okay.
So that is what the claim is, not that it was put on after or during Betsy's death.
Okay. I think you said how long it was before the murder that document was placed on the laptop or created.
I want to say it was the last time that they went and played tennis together, and I can't remember if it was the same day that the beneficiary changed, like 4 days before the murder, or if it was...
So very close, though.
Very close.
Very close.
Yeah. So...
That does not look good. Pam.
No.
Pam, you and I cannot be friends.
No. I wouldn't want to be friends with Pam either. But all of this, right, she's really going after, Russ was a bad husband, Russ was violent, even Betsy was afraid of him. So there's also this thought that, okay, these slippers, okay, these are like the one thing that really ties it to Russ. But there's no evidence that somebody walked in these bloody slippers anywhere. So the thought is that she framed Russ in this by dipping his slippers in her blood and then throwing them into his closet.
Yeah.
And then, anytime asked about him, I didn't like him. The only reason that there would be blood on those slippers, if it wasn't Russ, would be that somebody put them there. Either they were wearing his slippers, but then took them off and threw them in his closet, or wanted that to be found. Right?
There was testimony in the trial about the cross-hatching pattern of the fabric the slippers were made out of, perhaps matching the blood stain on the light switch. Like maybe someone turned off the lights or on the lights with the slippers themselves to avoid touching that, and that it was blood transfer from the slippers onto the light switch plate, and that it never, I mean, there was the suggestion that it was fabric, not a fingerprint, but that it really wasn't ever a fingerprint, that it was blood transferred from the slipper specifically onto the light switch plate, which if you're carrying the slippers and, you know, like it makes sense that you could do that kind of blood transfer onto the light switch plate if you're using the slippers to turn on or off the light.
Right, and she probably wouldn't want to touch the light switch. Could have been dual purpose. Okay, I don't want to touch it. But she was touching these slippers, so I don't know. Was she wearing gloves? I don't know.
Seriously, how does she pull it off? How would she pull it off? I don't know. Okay, that's just my, just shock. Like, how, I mean, honestly, it's, how did anyone pull it off? It's not just Pam, but, you know, it's kind of like, how? Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
I guess if she knew Russ would be gone until 9, if she killed, 9:30, if she has this plan that she's going to take, because Betsy did say that Pam offered to take her home. Yeah. Not that because Pam in her testimony says that Betsy asked her if she would take her home and she agreed, but in the text messages to Russ, Betsy says she offered and I accepted. So that does seem to indicate that, there's known that Russ is gone on Tuesday night. He doesn't leave his thing until 9 p.m. That means he won't get home until 9:30. If I kill Betsy between 7 and 7:30, I've got a few hours to clean up, to, make sure there's no trace of me, to make sure everything is set up, and then I leave. And I'm not afraid of being caught unaware because I know Russ is not going to be home until 9:30.
Yeah, well, and without all that other information, her kind of inserting herself that day is like, okay, could be innocent. But she really was like, I'll be with you. No, you're saying you don't want me to come? I'm going to come anyway. Then she comes back to their house. Betsy's playing a board game. She sits around and waits for her to finish her board game and then offers to take her home. Well, 4 days earlier, she has become her beneficiary. So, it seems
this file has appeared on her computer that that implicates Russ as a murderer.
Yeah. And so instead of Russ, okay, this is the night, this is the perfect night, it's more Pam, okay, this is the night. This is when it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's not true, it is for damn sure some strong reasonable doubt, right? That points in a different direction. And I would say if you take that to a jury, they very easily, I could see them coming back with a guilty verdict based on that evidence, right? Compared to what was presented in Russ's trial.
Right.
That they came back with a guilty verdict on nothing, on a fantasy. I mean, they want to say that Russ and his friends were living in a fantasy world. To me, that is the prosecution in a fantasy that had nothing to do with reality.
Yeah, 100%.
And how excited must Pam have been to listen to this story that they are coming up with that plants Russ as the villain and doing all of this stuff when she knows it was her.
Right.
If it was her. Right. This is all supposition. But just saying, in this theoretical world that we're entering into.
Yes, exactly.
Pam, don't sue me.
Well, let's go back to that insurance money, okay?
Okay.
So Russ, right, would be the assumed beneficiary. That's, I mean, yes, you can say your spouse killed you for insurance money, but there should be other reasons to show why you need that money now. If you could have always killed your spouse and maybe gotten money, why hadn't you done it earlier?
Well, he could only afford to put a few dollars of gas into his car.
Right.
He was hurting for gas money.
Yeah, so, but now somebody just became your beneficiary 4 days ago and now you're dead. Okay, that's really suspicious. But Pam, like she said, well, if I was going to kill somebody, I'd kill my mom. She's old, she's frail. I would get way more money from killing my mom. You could argue, well, why wouldn't, yeah, but she's your mom. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Well.
Did her mom die?
2 years. You scared me.
Scared her mom too.
And it happened on Halloween.
What?
really.
For real?
Yeah. So not quite 2 years after Betsy's death.
This
Pam's
is
mom
wild.
dies.
Okay, this is wild.
Yeah. Well, she's old. Okay. Pam's mom dies. But she doesn't die in a normal way. So, October 30th, 2013, my birthday, by the way. Okay.
I'm sure she chose that date for that very reason.
Okay.
She knew one day you were going to talk about it.
That's
and
right.
She wanted to
Special.
put it on your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pam brings her mom back to the assisted living facility after having taken her to the hospital or taking her back from a doctor's appointment. She takes her upstairs to her room, her apartment. On her way down, she talks to the staff, says goodbye, says, hey, she's not going to come down for dinner or breakfast tomorrow. And she leaves. Okay. The next day, Halloween.
Weird. I can't get a hold of Betsy. It's so strange. Even though it's only been minutes since I left her, I'm worried that she's not answering her phone, which we thought was weird.
Right.
Why would you call her mom so quickly? Like,
so
it's
weird.
You know, like that seems suspicious.
Yes, to be like, I'm worried about her. You just left her.
Right. Why are you worried? Well, she was upset with me. I wanted to see if she, and how she's not answering.
And I'm going to involve your mom?
Yeah. Right. Weird. Yeah, that's weird.
So, on Halloween the next day, sometime in the afternoon, a housekeeper comes up. She goes to check on her. When she comes inside, the water is running in the bathroom, which is odd. It doesn't really have anything to do with what happens here, but it is weird. Like, I don't know why it was
covering sound, maybe?
Could be, yeah. And there's a lot of disarray in the room. She notices that the door to the balcony patio area is open. When she goes out to the patio, she sees that the railing of the patio is broken. When she looks over the edge, there is Betsy's mom.
No.
On the ground.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I said Betsy's mom. That was Pam's mom.
Say it again.
Yes. So she goes up to check on her. Her name's Shirley. So she goes to the patio. The railing is broken. When she looks over the edge of that railing, she sees Pam's mother on the ground, dead. So,
wow. How does that get missed? I just can't even imagine a resident dead on the ground outside of the building.
Yeah, I mean, it was assisted living, so some of those facilities are more hands-off, right? And they've just been told, oh, yeah, she's fine. She's not going to come down. It's weird to say she's not going to come down for dinner or breakfast. That's a weird thing to say.
That is a weird thing to say.
And so
wanting her to be not found as soon. Or, okay, so the water. I don't know. It wouldn't be any reason to cover up. Well, I mean, I guess it could be reason to cover up the struggle that you're going through before you toss your mom. Leaving it on, yeah. Or it could be she's in the bathroom. Like she's taking a bath or she's taking a shower. I won't disturb her. So maybe they wait a little longer before discovering the body.
But I mean, and it appears that this happened or it would have had to have happened when Pam had been there. So, almost 24 hours that she's been laying on the ground outside of this facility. No one has noticed this.
Well, what time of day was, so it would have been mid-afternoon or something?
Probably not quite 24 hours, but I'm assuming she came in the afternoon because she said she wasn't going to come down for dinner.
Right.
And then they didn't bother her for breakfast either because she wasn't going to come down for breakfast. Then they come in the afternoon and check on her. So, like I said, the railing was broken, but it was broken in a weird way. So it was like, I actually have a picture that I can show you, but it was like a white metal railing. It had like the vertical bars horizontal bar on top, and then those skinny vertical bars going down. All metal.
Yeah, that's not something that just breaks. Not like wood that might weaken over time,
I mean, I think it's like those kind of hollow aluminum type. I don't know. I'll show you the picture.
Perfect for precipitating falls.
Right. So this is one of the pictures. And this is the other one from the top there.
So the top railing is intact, but then there are missing posts or broken posts, which, I mean, if you had dementia, maybe you're busting those bars out, trying to get out. But what a bizarre thing, because if she went through that hole, that's crazy. If they got broken during a struggle and she went over the rail, also crazy. I don't know.
Yes.
That's bizarre.
Well,
because that's not you didn't like the railing was broken and you fell through that area, or you fell against it and the railing broke. No, either you crawled through the hole in the railing or you fell over the top of it, which why would you do that? And why would those bars be broken if you accidentally lost your balance and you fell over the bars? There would be no reason for the bars below it to be broken.
Right, unless you like did one of those tripping and like you're almost just catching yourself and stumbling and then went face first through, but it's like a waist high like a waist high thing. So you'd have to be really low falling through that way.
Right.
And the way that she was positioned on the ground was not face down like you would if you maybe toppled over the edge or fell that way. But she was face up with her feet facing the window or the railing, which, okay, so maybe if backwards. You topple over and you land on your back, your feet would be facing the other way, right? If you do kind of like a flip over the railing, like you fall accidentally.
Right. I mean, if you're standing with your back to the railing and you trip and fall off, that's the only way that you could it would be hard to accomplish. You were pushed off. Well, yes. That's the only way that you could really, or I can imagine you landing on your back with your feet towards the building.
It doesn't make sense for you to be falling face first through this thing and then turn and land on your back, right?
Right. We're like, were you a gymnast?
Right.
Diving champion? You're like
real confused if that's the case anyway. So this news station, Fox 2, local news station there, they actually got a hold of some engineers and did kind of like a recreation or test for this. They got same manufacturer, same or very similar railing. They used basically like a battering ram on a pendulum kind of swing. And it was 288 pounds, so that was 70 pounds more than
the weight
Pam's
of her mom
weighed. But if you're falling forward, you're going to apply more force than just your weight. So they lifted up, it rams against the railing, and there was no damage done at all. Now, the only way they were able to recreate the damage that was seen there was by kicking the bars out.
Oh.
So the thought was...
It's so interesting that how could something ramming into it not break it, but kicking it would? Because isn't kicking the same as a pendulum swinging into it?
Right.
It's
well,
weird.
It's like hitting the one bar individually instead of hitting the whole thing, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because then the force is distributed across multiple bars, whereas if you're just kicking one bar, it's taking all of the force. Okay, that makes sense.
And they have these side-by-side pictures of the bars that were broken off and like from evidence photos and the bars that were kicked, and this is what they look like.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, we'll post the photos on Instagram.
Wow.
So the thought then would be that it was made to look like an accident and she fell through. Like, she obviously didn't, I don't think that she kicked the bars out and pushed her through there, but it was just trying to like cause this. She was confused, she stumbled, she hit and tripped and it broke. Like,
that was a real misstep. Just have her fall over the side. I mean, the bars being broken like that just seems so unlikely that was a bad move, Pam.
Yeah. And in the autopsy, they found that Pam's mom had 0.84 micrograms of Ambien in her blood, which I've heard was either 8 or 12 times what you should have in your blood if you took a prescribed dose. So I don't know which source was correct on that, but way more. Now, okay, you could say, oh, she had dementia. She could have taken a lot of medication, but with everything added together here, right? Pam's the last person to see her alive. She's already made this weird comment 2 years earlier about how I would just kill my mom if I wanted life insurance money. And then all we know about the weird stuff with Betsy. I mean, possibly killing Betsy for her life insurance money.
Yeah. Does this death happen before Russ's trial or after?
After. It was like almost 2 years after Betsy died, but it was October of 2013.
I'm just curious if,
Right.
if it's one of those, like, I got away with it once, I mean, I almost think, though, if you were going to have a test subject, your mom would be the one to try it out with first, because
it was before.
Interesting.
Very shortly before, because his trial started November 18th of 2013, and
so
this was Halloween.
Wow.
So, like, 2 weeks
Wow.
beforehand. But it doesn't really matter, especially in regards to this trial, because even with all of that, it was ruled as an accidental fall. So
crazy.
Pam was able to collect that life insurance on her mother, but it wasn't $500,000 like she said it was. It was just over $120,000.
Oh.
So it was even less.
What a waste. Well, at least there was some life insurance money instead of thinking there's life insurance and you kill somebody and there's no life insurance.
Right. But it's like, did she know that? Because her reasoning, I'd kill my mom because she has way more insurance money on her anyway. If maybe that's not even the case, Betsy did have more.
Right. I mean, I could see with everything else that you're saying that Pam may very well have known that her mom's life insurance was not significant, but she's inflating it to make it seem like, well, I wouldn't have motive. Like, I have more to gain if I were to kill my mother than if I were to kill my friend. So, but then it turns out, actually, that was a lie. The value of my mother's life insurance policy is actually less than what Betsy's policy that I was the beneficiary on.
It's a weird thing for her to say
it
anyway.
Is weird.
And it feels like it's also this, like, she's saying too much because she's guilty. And nobody even asked her, or the police didn't, she was real chummy with the police. The police did not insinuate at all that they thought that she might be. And she's still saying this, well, I wouldn't kill her though, because blah, blah. Like,
wow.
So the investigation has been reopened into her mother's death, but as far as up to today, no charges have been brought.
How old is Pam? Do you have any idea?
How old she is now?
I mean, I guess, well, I imagine she was probably...
So she is 67 right now. So 15 years ago, she was in her early 50s.
So she was a little older than...
About 10 years older than Betsy.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that there was reason that they reopened the investigation.
Okay.
And part of that has to do with everything that happened in that second trial, right? Maybe Pam is kind of suspicious.
Right, which I do think that's kind of like other trials that we know, like I'm going off the rails here, but the Lori Vallow Daybell stuff that Charles's, it was like,
after the death of her
seemed
children
a little bit sus, and they were investigating, right? But then when further deaths occur, then you're really looking at this like, okay, there is something more, like it makes it more likely that there was something suspicious. If that was the only one, maybe they wouldn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they certainly felt pretty motivated after seeing what else happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, that second trial was in like 2015, 2016, and they still haven't brought any charges. So it's an open, like, active investigation, but they haven't done anything.
So they reopened the investigation 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I just wonder if when it was ruled an accident, they just didn't hold on to all of the evidence. They're just like, throw this away. Oh. And if you don't have, you don't have those bars anymore, you don't have the, whatever, you don't have all of the stuff. And if you didn't treat it like a suspicious death, then how much evidence was gathered? And she probably cremated her mom's remains immediately so that there's no ability to go back and look at it.
Mm-hmm. Just like Russ did with his wife, right?
Yeah.
She was cremated.
Yeah.
Well, if you think that we are done with Pam, you are wrong.
What?
You're very wrong. But you won't find out until the next episode.
How can you do me like this? No! I mean, usually I know all the stuff that's coming, and so, I mean,
I kind of
my
do
episodes,
too,
but then I'm used to getting all of yours in one, so I don't like a cliffhanger for myself.
I know.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. What do you guys think? You guys have to give some feedback on this. I thought that the Tracy Nix craziness that we found out after her verdict, I thought that was wild and out there. But I don't know. This might be hard to top ever.
No one does wild like Pam.
Oh my gosh.
We're about to find out just how wild
wow.
she gets.
Okay. Well, you guys, I'm sure you're hanging on every word. So am I. And thanks again for hanging out with us. Hope to see you next time.
Just laugh. This is the first time that I've thought that, like, hanging out with us. We've hung out now on hung.
Yes! You haven't picked up on that?
No,
that's intentional.
I haven't. That's the first time I was like, oh, hanging, hung. Okay.
Oh, so cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to keep some of that in. Yeah, so hopefully you join us next time to hear Maryn's cliffhanger.
I'm so excited.
Oh, when are we recording again?
We'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, are we going to go on next?
No, but you and I will talk
Oh,
about when we're recording next in a second. You would only wish you were so lucky.
That's right. All right. Well, until then, I'm still Christie.
And I'm still Maryn.
And you've been listening to Hum.